Thanks for staying. Let's now move on to the very first story. The new Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, Emmanuel Kofi, has been explaining to Joy Business how the authority will raise adequate revenues to finance huge government expenditure projects outlined in the 2017 budget. These include implementation of free SHS policy, one village, one factory, and tax cuts, among others. The question is, how would government adequately fund these projects and still remain disciplined? The new GRA boss, in an interview with Raymond Aqua, tells us how the authority will do this.
Fortunately, there are local offices. We will get our people out there to market themselves. It's a business. What is happening is that for a lot of the tax offices, if I'm not exaggerating, it's like the money walks to them. Okay. The money walks to the taxpayer walks to them. We want a situation where there will be more interaction between the staff and then the taxpayers. And the staff's performance are going to be monitored by how they were able to grow the files, the number of taxpayers on their list. Okay, so as they grow the number of taxpayers, then we will give incentives and motivation so that we may enter into a direct kind of challenge in the system and see which offices were doing more, were able to expand their taxpayer base on a man-by-man basis. And then once we put it on the dashboard and everybody sees what is going on, that this month this office was able to grow its taxpayer base by 2% and its tax collection by 3%. And within the whole GRA system, it is noted. It throws in the challenge. And those who are failing will take note. So these are some of the means by which we will be expanding the tax net. And then by the kind of professionals in the areas who get filed in. And the quality of the taxpayer register. Okay, will all be looked at. Okay, because expanding the taxpayer list is not just adding the numbers, but it also comes in the quality of the people that you are able to get into the tax payer base. It's also very important. So we'll be looking at such mechanisms to expand the tax net. And then the electronic point of sales will also be used, okay, to ensure that people are properly accounting for their tax collections. I mean, when there's been a VAT payment from the shopping malls and the rest, and they have the IPOs, it will allow us to know really on the ground how much is being taken from for the benefit of the GRA.
The new GRA boss, Emmanuel Kofi, outlining measures that the authority will raise funds to help finance government projects. Let's now move into the banking industry, where there appears to be some mixed reactions by players in the financial sector over the real benefits of a planned capital increase for banks on cost of credit. The Bank of Ghana is set to increase the minimum capital requirement for this year. Now, this follows government's decision to give the regulator its blessings. The minimum capital requirement, according to sources, could be increased to 250 million Ghana cedis from the current 120 million cedis. Commercial banks might be given 1 year to meet this new capital requirement. Group Chief Executive of Finance Group, CDH, Emmanuel Edu-Sarkodie, tells Joy Business the increase will surely reduce the cost of credit.
Because we think the banks in Ghana are too small. Everybody progresses from a finance house to a savings and loans, then becomes a bank with 120 million, which is what, divided by 4. Even the 250 divided by 4 is still small. You can't even build one small bridge, or even fund cocoa purchases or something. Yeah. So really, we think that in the near future, our financial services would like to be merged into a much bigger entity that's able to do big things, not the small ticket things that our banks are doing.
Of owning a stake in it.
Yes, certainly. Yeah. I mean, we're looking at if the Bank of Ghana's new rate comes up and banks are seeking to consolidate and sort of become bigger so they can do better things. We're prepared to look at merger talks and stuff like that, especially for our savings and loans company. Yes.
And some banks are already struggling. What has kept you waiting all this long? At least you can talk about some 8 banks that are struggling to raise funds, even to meet existing capital.
It's a question of pricing. We've had offers, but you see, it's a question of pricing. You know, when you are hot, you keep pricing lower. Let's say you take your tomatoes to the market. At 10 o'clock, it's another price. 12 o'clock, price changes. By 2 o'clock, by 5 o'clock in the evening, the prices are beginning to drop fast, isn't it? Yeah, because you don't want to carry the whole thing back, the cost of transportation. So we are waiting to buy the right price. What is the rule? You buy low, you sell high. So we are just waiting.
But isn't the crisis time the best bet, the best time to move in?
That's why we're waiting. We're waiting till...
Haven't you delayed? Because
I don't think so, George. I think we are still... I mean, there are offers on the table, and we are looking at it carefully to see. Remember, this is a marriage that will last forever. We don't want to go into one of those mergers and after 3 years, we want to go away. No, we want to do something that we believe will last forever. So we are looking at, yeah.
Let's all stay within the banking sector, where the managing director of Access Bank, Dolapo Ogundimu, has maintained the removal of VAT on financial services will boost efforts to encourage people to save. Government in the 2017 budget removed the 17.5% tax on financial services, a levy that is charged on services rendered by banks. Mr. Ogundimu tells Joy Business they will make it easier to reach out to many people outside the banking system.
The kind of products we have are those that will make transactions seamless, right? Will encourage those that have monies to save for the rainy day, right? And the reasons why we don't have as much savings is because there are other contending issues for disposable income, right? So if, no matter how much, I spend so much money putting all this infrastructure in place, and if disposable income is not enough that leaves anything to save, it's just a waste. So what you really see in terms of innovation is a reflection of what your market is giving you. We can come up with products if there's no money to be saved. Of what use is the product? So there are a lot of reasons why people will save. There are a lot of reasons why they're not saving, but we need to look at disposable income. With inflation, with other issues, with bills to pay, at the end of the day, people may end up in credit, like borrowing, than saving. So one has to know your customers very well to calibrate the appropriate kind of products that will fit each sector or each populace, as the case may be.
Now, government's decision to issue a 3-year bond this week has resulted in the cedi responding positively to the US dollar. The local currency, which has been depreciating sharply since last month, has made some marginal gains over the past 3 days against the dollar. But is this an indication that the recent challenges that hit the cedi are over? George Yafi tells us more.
The Ghana cedi, according to market analysts, has depreciated by more than 6% from the beginning of this year, and as at last week was trading at around 4 Ghana cedis, 80 pesos. However, checks with some of the major commercial banks indicate the cedi is currently trading at around 4 Ghana cedis, 60 pesos. Market analysts attribute the decision by some offshore investors to bring in some dollars to buy cedis in preparation for the 3-year bond auction that could be closed today as being the reason for the cedi's recovery. Some have also attributed it to policies that were outlined in the 2017 budget, a view that was expressed by the incoming Deputy Minister of Finance, Kuku Kwarteng.
So long as government lives within its means, you can be sure that the currency will be protected. On the fiscal management, what we are looking to do is to stop the excessive budget overrun that eventually results in the weakening of the cedi. We have no doubt that investors will look at our strategies, look at our fiscal target, and come to the conclusion that this economy will pick up again, and therefore the confidence will come, and ultimately the cedi and the general Ghanaian economy would be beneficiary.
Some have argued that a lot more measures are needed to sustain this trend so that the local currency can firmly stabilize against the dollar. If this trend is sustained, could be described as good news for the economy because it could reduce the interest payment on Ghana's debt, possible reduction in utility tariffs, and some stability in pricing of petroleum products and transport fares, as well as inflation rate and a reduction in the cost of credit.
Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta says government had to defer cut in corporate taxes because it first wanted to look at other ways of reducing cost of doing business. Government has come under serious criticism over failure to reduce corporate taxes from 25% to 20% in 2017 budget as promised by the manifesto of the NPP. Speaking to Joy Business after a Price Waterhouse post-budget analysis program, the finance minister said government is still committed to reducing the tax, possibly next year.
Nothing to tax. And so what is important is to reduce the cost of doing business. And in between when you have revenue and when you are going to be taxed. So it's really, can you expand the space of doing business and make it a lot easier for corporates to operate before you worry about reducing corporate taxes?
The Ghana City has started responding positively to the news about the 3-year bond that you're planning to issue. What do you make of this development? You talked about some investors also responding positively to the budget. What do you make of this development?
I think we are going to see a lot more of that. I suspect that as the impact of the measures that we have proposed begin to trickle through, there'll be a lot more confidence. And then we are quite clear about our commitment to ensuring that we get the revenue we need and we cut down on expenditure. I think it's that signaling of resolve that people are looking for. And the reliefs that we also brought, I think will encourage a sense of entrepreneurship. And once people are confident, I think they react differently to expectations.
The finance minister. Now, still on the budget, tax management and auditing firm KPMG says most business leaders in Ghana are satisfied with the budget that was presented recently. The 2017 budget saw government reveal plans to abolish some taxes, including levies, which are set to hamper the growth and expansion of the private sector. Partner of advisory at the KPMG, Jocelyn Coleman, says her outfit is confident the budget will ease the cost of doing business in the country. She spoke with Joy Business on a post-budget analysis program.
The outcome was quite gratifying, especially when you listen to the budget, because people were concerned about taxes on financial services, taxes on airlines, excise, customs and excise duties. And if I dare say that I think they've been addressed to a great extent. And tomorrow will give us a greater opportunity to interact with the finance minister, for our business leaders that we're inviting to ask him questions, for him to explain some of the reasoning behind the policies and stuff that they put across. And it's basically to get the business community to understand what the government is putting in place to be able to get businesses to grow, to start up businesses, and just generally get this economy to grow. When you're looking at what incentives or what giving us a conducive business environment, we should be looking not only at cost issues, we should be looking at the ease of doing business as well. And I think they're not pessimistic. I think people there's an upbeat, very optimistic view about the future in Ghana.
Now to other stories. The proposed merger between telecom firms Tigo and Airtel is likely to see some staff lose their jobs. That's according to the Tigo's general manager, Roshi Motman, who is to lead the new entity as chief executive once the deal is finally approved. In an exclusive interview with Joy Business, Madam Motman, however, says the process would be managed in the best interest of affected workers.
Management of both Airtel and Tigo officially announced this to their respective staff last Friday. Tigo's general manager, Roshi Motman, explains to Joy Business even workers who would lose their jobs in the merger process would receive their due.
I am hoping that the regulatory process will take no longer than maybe 1 to 3 months. And during that process, we can obviously also plan to do a lot of things. As you can imagine, it's a complicated process to put two big businesses together. Exactly. So that will be done by an integration team together with the management of the business, and recruitment for the new entity is going to be done in a very transparent and honest way. A merger is a very complicated process, and the new entity will need to have world-class people, really great people, to be able to make this a success. It is likely that we will have headcount reduction in the businesses. We need to ensure that key positions are not duplicated. But when that comes, we will take care of staff, first of all, according to labor law, but also we take care of our staff in the most fair and transparent way.
All that, according to her, is, however, subject to regulatory approval expected within the next 3 months for the actual integration of operations to start. For subscribers, she says there's no cause for alarm, as a deal, when finalized, would rather inure to their benefit by way of wider network coverage and significant improvement in especially data service.
Ultimately, if you're talking about the benefits for the consumers, that is the main reason we are doing this. And we can already see, and we have done a lot of analysis, obviously, also on group levels, in terms of what kind of synergies these two combined entities would see. So the main things that we are seeing is that for the consumers, the combined 3G footprint, the data, that is going to be much wider. So we combine so Tigo's footprint with Airtel's footprint, and what you will see is basically a much wider coverage, because we can reshuffle our sites in order to give much wider coverage to people. But I don't want to get into the details until we have regulatory approval.
The merger is expected to make the new entity the second largest operator in the country, with nearly 10 million customers, while generating revenues close to $300 million. Meanwhile, both Airtel and Tigo will continue to operate under their respective leaderships until the deal is approved by the regulatory institutions.
Let's now cross over to the Ashanti region, where the regional capital, Kumasi, is set to be booming in sales of Ghana at 60 paraphernalia, even after the independence anniversary celebration, despite complaints about high cost of the cloth. A visit to the central business district of Kumasi revealed many traders have exhausted their stock.
It goes for 120 cedis for half a piece and 240 cedis for full piece. Initially, traders were reluctant to accept the products, saying it was expensive and it arrived late for the celebration.
About 3 weeks, and Sana coffee. Slow.
Initially, sales were slow, but now patronage is high, she says. They complain of the price. They are buying because of their love for Ghana. Some went for 900 Ghana cedis for 6 years, and some for 120 Ghana cedis.
Yeah, the ABJ 900 for 6 years, 90 cedis, and HB so 1.2. By Nina Moto, Oba, Oka Buona, Fama me no moto.
30 Ghana cedis, and a half piece near 900, and a full piece near 1.8. They
have bought everything. I invested a lot in it. I ordered from GTP and some from Printex. Everything has been sold out.
Any baby and a call come. Sika baby, and this shame when any channel so me try bear 4 bills for printers. Now, GTP for the only baby bray and in a toy. And the Oman can send a boarding. Surprisingly, 2 years, 1 year.
Surprisingly, patronage has come largely from Ghanaians living abroad. It's all on social media, so those in abroad ordered it. I got orders from Ghanaians living in abroad. We believe patronage will still continue after the celebration. Reporting for Joy News, Kwesi Deborah.
Brisk business activity right there in the heart of Kumasi. Now, it's become pretty obvious that the country needs to invest in new technology to boost productivity in the agri sector. The current government has therefore made it a priority to enable it effectively achieve its agenda of using agri to transform the economy and create more jobs. However, there is one entrepreneur who is already leading the way. He is Kwabena Opeja Amoateng, CEO of the 2016 GIPC Company of the Future. His story on a repeat of the Joy Business Van.
His father wanted him to be a doctor. His mother thought he would make a perfect lawyer. But growing up, Kwabena Opeja Amoateng was passionate about one thing: doing business. While in high school, Kwabena decided to explore business opportunities, so he started a fruit juice retail business. Later, he decided to try photography. Kwabena was raised up in a farming community called Bumpata in the Ashanti region. Over the years, he would watch people in his community go through the tiresome process of manually cultivating their farms.
I realized how people are suffering in the area, especially in my village, how people need to suffer. You need to climb a huge mountain. And I realized, come on, how would this thing, is there any other way that we can do to solve this? Because at the end of the day, if you start as a young guy going through such a routine, by the time you're about 45 or 40, you're almost weak.
Kwabena's desire to see the hard manual work farmers in his community go through reduced just remained a thought. It was in 2010, when he got the opportunity to further his education in Russia, that Kwabena was exposed to modern agricultural machinery. That triggered the idea to supply these equipment to farmers in Ghana. It was difficult to break through the market at first because farmers could not afford the equipment and could not secure loans to purchase them.
It's only in agri that a farmer finds it difficult to get financing. Those who are able even to get financing, you are getting it at a rate of 45, 40. The least that you get is even 35%. How can you do business with this?
Kwabena had hit a wall. It was discouraging and frustrating at the beginning. The frustration, however, birthed a new strategy, going beyond just selling the equipment to helping farmers complete the value chain.
We don't only stay at our issue, selling equipment alone. We go as far as helping the farmers even with market. So we try to complete the value chain for the farmers.
Today, hundreds of farmers use machinery supplied by Agro Africa.
Once you finish planting, when the weeds start coming, maybe at the third, fourth week, you need the one behind. That's exactly like this. This one, no. The one you see here. You send this one in?
In 3 years, Agro Africa's impact on the agri sector had become evident. They were bestowed the Rising Star at the first SME Ghana Awards. Kwabena's greatest feat, though, would be his company being adjudged the Company of the Future at the prestigious Ghana Club 100 Awards in 2016.
Seriously, that one, even as of now, I still look like a dream to me. Even as of today.
Aside agri machinery, Kwabena is exploring other areas in the agri sector. For instance, he has started a piggery he's so excited about. So far, the business seems to be doing well. Kwabena admits operating a business in the agri sector is not an easy task at all, but he's driven by passion, and that keeps him going.
What really keeps me going is challenge. I love challenge. And I always want to be in an area where there are a lot of challenges. And in agri, there's a lot of challenges. And once I see this challenge, the question is, do you have to give up? No. Make it work. So that at least people say, oh, this area or this place is being able to work because of ABCD. And at the mention of this ABCD, Agro-Africa can be on it. So it's all the challenge. Challenge me to do something, and I bet you I'll finish it.
And on that inspiring note by that young gentleman, we wrap up the program for this afternoon. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Emmanuel Abuachi. Good afternoon.